to kill it. I was meant to win. I am down and willing, so I will find a way. It took a minute, now it didn't happen right away. When it get hot in the kitchen, you decide to stay. That's how it winners made. Stick a fork in the hater on my dinner plate. I walk into the fire like it's just a bit of flame. I switch my style up, push the money pile up. Welcome to Clydesdale Media Podcast, where we're focusing on the athletes of the 2024 CrossFit Semifinals. I'm so pumped to have with me Ellia Miller. What's going on, man?
Hey, Scott. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Man, earlier today I did a master show. I went to hit the video, and it just kerflunk kaflooey.
It was a cool video.
Yeah. I have different ones for different shows, and it just didn't start. And I was like, well, okay, I guess we're going.
Man. Doing it live.
Yeah. But it went today, and I love that. That is like one of the coolest type songs in the royalty-free music category that's out there, and I love it. So I'm hyped to see you. How you been?
I've been good. Just training a lot. Getting excited for semifinals.
Yeah. And so if like this is the third year in a row we talked to Ellia. And she's always one of those bright faces when I see at an event that just makes me happy. I feel like I'm with my people, and I get to hang out. And so, as always, it's fun to catch up with you. I know you made some big changes this year. You moved out west.
Mm-hmm.
Walk us through that thought process and then kind of where you are.
Yeah. So I was previously in Kansas. I spent the past 2 seasons in Kansas City, Kansas, training with Jill Glassnap. She was my coach. And I obviously made very good progress with her. I made semifinals both years I was with her. Ended up finishing 20th in the West at semifinals last year. Getting close to that game spot. And we were making a lot of good progress. But it got to a point where I was on the verge of not being able to pay rent anymore. And I was training alone in Kansas. I didn't have any training partners out there. And that was, I think, what I needed when I was there. But it was getting to a point where that was just becoming hard to maintain. And like, I love going to the gym. I love training, but it was getting to a point where I didn't want to go to the gym anymore. Just because training by yourself day after day for multiple years it takes a very special type of person to do that for an extended period of time. And I was really missing having just people to talk to, people to, talk strategy with, compare scores with, all that kind of stuff. So that combined with the fact that I was becoming very broke and couldn't necessarily afford rent anymore. The timing worked out beautifully that Sean Sweeney had posted on Instagram that he was looking for an athlete and a coach to come move to Nevada, train with him, coach at his gym, and live on his property. So I sent him a message and told him,
thus the background.
Yeah. Where's he at? Back there. You can see his head up there. So I sent him a message and I was like, hey, I've been chasing the games for a couple years now. I feel like I'm making progress, but if I don't change something right now, I'm going to basically have to give up this dream because I'm going to have to go, get a grown-up job and start making money to pay. And so this opportunity that he presented was the perfect opportunity. He has a tiny house on his property. It's like a little shed, basically. It's in his front yard. And that was what he was offering as, hey, come live in this tiny house. You won't have to pay rent. You won't have to pay bills. Just live here, coach at the gym. And that's, the agreement that you're here to help run the gym. And in exchange, you get to live on my property. So I ended up coming out here to visit. That must have been like November of last year. Spent a couple days here, got to meet him, meet everybody at the gym, coach a few classes, do some training, and I ended up really loving it. So a couple days later, I decided to pull the trigger and move out here. And by the beginning of December, my life was packed up in a trailer, and I was driving from Kansas to Fallon, Nevada. So got here early December, and now I'm living in a tiny house and coaching at CrossFit Power Stroke.
So that leads to just a ton of questions for me. And how do you take your belongings and whittle them down to a point, or maybe you already were, but you whittle them down to something that fits in a tiny house?
It was very hard. Um, Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a bit of a hoarder,
Wow.
and I had a lot of stuff. So it was actually, I think it was really good for me because it forced me to actually take a hard look at all of my belongings, all of my possessions, and figure out what I actually needed and what I didn't need that I was holding on to for whatever reason, whether that was, oh, I might need this again in 3 years and, things like that, or things that, I don't want to throw away this concert ticket stub because it has sentimental value. Like, all right, I think it's time to move past some of those things. So it was a
For the
little bit of
kids
like an
out there,
emotional.
for the kids out there, when you went to a concert, you used to get a paper ticket.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot everything's digital now. Um, but it was kind of like an emotional cleanse almost. So it took a decent amount of time. I donated a lot of stuff to, Goodwill and just some other donation centers out in Kansas. Sold some clothes on Poshmark, and just did what I could to downsize to really just my essentials. Um, And then, of course, having 2 cats traveling with me makes it a little hard to shove everything in my car, so I ended up having to, I had to get a trailer hitch installed on my car and then rent a trailer and pull that with me, um, and so that also allowed me to bring my air runner out here, which was nice. So, yeah,
So I'm assuming the air runner is not in the tiny house.
but it's not.
Uh,
It would take up the entire tiny house, so my air runner is in the gym.
did you have other equipment?
Just a couple barbells and an air runner.
And you brought those two and just threw them in the gym?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So what is tiny house living like?
It's interesting. It was definitely an adjustment, and I feel like I've adjusted fairly well to it at this point. So I have to light my stove with an actual lighter. So I turn on the gas and then hold a lighter up to it. Never had to do that before. I have this is gonna sound weird. I have a compost toilet, so my toilet doesn't actually flush. It's a French drain and a compost toilet. So that's different for sure. I don't have a dishwasher. I don't have an oven. So I've had to get creative with my meal prep. I used to use my oven a lot for meal prep. I was lucky enough that a couple months ago, my parents bought me an air fryer for my birthday, so that helps a lot with the cooking.
Yeah.
And then just living small in general. Um, I realize that I don't really spend too much time at home. I'm mostly only home on my rest days, really. Every other day, I'm spending most of my time at the gym or out running errands or whatever. So it's just it's been good. I like it. It's very
Uh,
calm.
Kenneth the Lab says air fryers are key.
Yes. I don't know how I went so long without one. So shout out mom and dad. Thanks for the air fryer.
So with that, do you have any outdoor living space around the tiny house?
I have a porch. I have a really cute front porch. I've never had a front porch before, so that's pretty cool. And then it's in his front yard, basically. So like across from his driveway, he's got the tiny house set up. And we spend a decent amount of time outside. Sean and his wife Emily just started a garden in the front yard. So a couple days ago, I was out there helping them plant some watermelons and stuff like that. So, and out doing runs, bike rides, walking around, whatever. It's been getting nice out here, so I've been able to spend some more time outside.
And what has the relationship been like between Sean and his wife and you? Have you become like part of the family or
I feel like, yeah, they've been really great. On my birthday, they invited me over for dinner and they cooked me dinner. Um, we hang out at the house sometimes when nobody's got anything going on. They've got 2 young kids, so their life is a little hectic right now. But, you know, I love the kids. Their daughter, Tyler, she can't say my name, so she calls me Ia, so I'm Ia. It's really cute, but, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. They've been so incredible, so welcoming. Um, they've basically become a second family to me here.
so back in like the CrossFit sense, you come out there, you're basically hired to be a training partner. Does that come with Sean coaching you as well, or do you just
Yes,
kind of
he is my coach now, so I am part of the Cowboy Way athlete program. He runs and coaches that program. So he's my coach and also my training partner, which is actually really cool. It's interesting in some instances where it's like, all right, does he need to be my coach for this workout or does he need to be my training partner for this workout? So it's been interesting navigating that and figuring that out. But it's been so amazing and just having um, such a high caliber athlete to train next to every day. um, I mean, I feel like I've improved so much since I've been here, just from this environment, and I feel like I'm the fittest I've ever been, and I'm really excited for semifinals this year.
so I've watched you all off season and I'm gonna make watching you for years, you have been a very much a power output athlete,
Yeah.
right? It seems to me that over the last year, there's been some deconstruction down to kind of like the bare bones and rebuilding. Am I correct in that?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
where are
trying to turn
you
myself into a runner.
where are you in that journey? Are you still in the process of the rebuilding of the new Aaliyah 2.0? Or um I'll just leave
Yeah, I think it's gonna continually be a process and an evolution, and, even when I get through the phase that I'm in right now, there's gonna be another evolution, Aaliyah 3.0 or whatever you wanna call it. But I have especially since coming here, I've spent a lot of time working on my aerobic base, my running, burpees, things like that. So, you know, heavy breathing, longer workouts have tended to not be great for me, historically. And I'm still not where I would like to be with them, but I'm getting significantly better. The quarterfinals workout this year with the wall balls and the burpee box jump overs, that's like 2 of my weakness movements. And if I had done that workout a year ago, I don't know that I would have even made it into the last round of burpee box jump overs. And when I did it this year, I did it twice. Um, I didn't finish the workout, that was kinda disappointing, but, by the second time I did it, I was only 6 reps from finishing my last set of burpee box jumpers, so, like, seeing, improvements in that kinda stuff has been really cool. I've been running more than I've ever run in my life since I've been here. We live about 2 miles from a place called Soda Lake. It's just this big it's actually an active volcano, but it's a lake with it's like in a crater, and so we run around the rim of the lake, and we run, like, downhill down to the lake, do some burpees, run back up the hill, and then keep running around, and we do that once a week. The first time I did it, when I first moved out here, that run took me 59 minutes, and now my PR is down to about 45 minutes. So, yeah, making big improvements. There's still a ways to go, but we're getting there.
And one of the big reasons I ask is if people have watched you and then they watch you in some of these off-season competitions, like you would be the pick to win some of the lifting events. And that didn't necessarily happen this off season. And my
Yeah.
assumption was because you're going through this process, you're probably not even touching a barbell very much.
Yeah, my lifting has changed pretty significantly. So, I'm not on 8 to 12 week strength cycle for anything specific right now because I don't need to be. Winning the lifting events is awesome and so much fun, and who doesn't like winning an event? But it's more important for me to be focusing on bringing up the things that I struggle with, and that means that I might not necessarily be winning the lifting events anymore, but I can still hang in the lifting events. And that's I need to just be more well-rounded in that aspect of like, I don't necessarily need to win, I just need everything to come up more.
So when you're in these off-season comps, it's Aaliyah 2.0, and are you testing that new Aaliyah out? Like the priority isn't the lifting event, it's how well am I going to do on this muscle up workout, or how well am I going to do on this
Yeah.
run? Like, so does that priority shift?
Yeah, I think previously when I would compete, I would go in thinking about each event individually and say, "Oh, there's a lifting event. I want to win that one." And then there's this other event that I know is going to crush me, but that's okay because I'm going to win the lifting one and it doesn't matter. And now I feel like I approach competitions more with a holistic approach of like, hey, there's a lifting event and that's going to be awesome for me. But I'm also going to spend just as much time focusing on these other events because I want my overall placement to come up, not just go crush a lifting event and get crushed by everything else.
Okay, so through all the let's call it experimentation of the off season, how do you feel you're doing going into this game season? Like even before the open, did you feel like you were ready to unleash whatever it was that you created?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's still more work to be done and still more improvements to be made, but I was really excited to start this season because I do feel like a different athlete this year. And I don't know how much it'll show. Um, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how much it'll show in terms of the leaderboard, but I do know that I will feel it. And I hope that it reflects on the leaderboard. But I know that I feel like a very different athlete this season.
How hard is it for you to wrap your head around that?
It's yeah, it's a process. It's just another one of those mental processes that we go through as competitive athletes. And I feel like everything in this sport, once you get to this level, it's all just mental and it's learning how to um navigate all of the additional things that come with it that aren't just your physical performance.
I It's so funny because I've talked to a lot of these athletes like yourself, and like podcasting is very similar to that. You know, we're in a very
Mhm.
competitive space with a lot of third party outlets, and everybody's jockeying for position, and what are you good at, and what do you need to improve on, and what do you like, it's very similar in a very different way.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Um and so like I can commiserate a lot with a semifinal athlete. And
Yeah.
and it's so exciting for me when people have these realizations, these epiphanies, and create the 2.0s, the 3.0s, and move on. Um, we'll come back to semis in a second, but
Okay.
you have become quite the media mogul yourself.
Having fun with it.
You cut out just a little bit there.
said I've been having fun with it.
So you've made appearances on Death By,
Mm-hmm.
which you gave this program a huge shout out, which, heart.
Scott.
And totally appreciate that. You are currently the Jeopardy champion. How fun is it that you are the Jeopardy champ?
Pretty cool. Chase had asked me a couple weeks ago if I was interested in going on Jeopardy. And I was like, I don't think I'm gonna win, but I'll give it my best shot. And then he reached out again last week. He was like, "Hey, do you want to come on this Friday?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then I found out that I was going to be going against Hiller. I was like, "Oh no, I'm really not going to win this one." But it ended up being so much fun. It was funny after the first question. I think Chase made a comment about um, how's your heart rate right now? Is it more stressful walking onto a competition floor or doing CrossFit Jeopardy? And I think the answer is pretty solidly doing CrossFit Jeopardy. My heart rate was through the roof. I was sweating. I was nervous, but it was a lot of fun.
I have grown to love that show. I like when you see someone like, I know that you're a fan of the sport as well as a competitor, right? So I
Mhm.
know you know a lot about what's going on. You have Hiller that does nothing but study everything so he can make videos. And then you have Keith Knapp, a walking encyclopedia of the L1 manual.
That was pretty accurate description.
And so it's really fun to watch it kind of play out. And of course, in my older age, my wife and I watch the real Jeopardy every night.
Yeah.
And so I play along, and it's so much fun. So much fun.
Have you been watching Jeopardy Masters?
Uh Not yet. What I do with those is I wait till they pile up and then I binge them.
Okay. I was watching that. I claimed it was preparation for CrossFit Jeopardy, but it was really just because I love Jeopardy. They make me feel very dumb.
Larry Young says, big win on Jeopardy. Now you need to go on a long run of winning.
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
Um, I'm excited about Jeopardy, Matt, and please don't spoil this for me.
I
But
won't.
I grew up just outside of Pittsburgh, and
Okay.
one of the Jeopardy masters is from Pittsburgh, and I'm a huge fan of her because she is also a chaser on the game show The Chase.
Oh, okay. That's
Um,
cool.
and on The Chase, she knits while she answers trivia questions and crushes people, and I love it.
That's awesome.
Like, how nonchalant can you act while you're imposing your will on this game show?
That's a pretty baller move. I like that.
It is, and she's on Masters, so you probably have seen her.
Yeah, probably.
Larry Young also says the Jeopardy Masters questions are tough.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, it was so funny when they were doing the the Invitational Tournament of Champions.
Yeah.
Like, the questions had gotten harder and harder and harder, and then they go back to regular Jeopardy. I'm like, man, all of a sudden,
I'm
like,
so
I
smart.
can play.
Yeah. That's how I feel too.
And then Celebrity Jeopardy, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Let's go.
That's funny. I feel really smart when I watch Celebrity Jeopardy.
Yeah. So I had the honor of being on Coffee Pods and Wads around the whiteboard, and you've done Death By. How nervous do you get during those?
My first one, I was super nervous. I Lauren had sent the questions the day before, and I was like studying, making notes. I was like, I have my answers ready to go. And the more that I've done it, the less that I've stressed about it. It gets a little bit easier. But it's always challenging knowing that you're going on a live video and you're attempting to sound intelligent to a large crowd.
Yes.
I think that's challenging for anybody. But it's also a lot of fun, and I've got to meet and talk with a lot of really cool people through Death By. So that's been really cool.
Yeah, on around the whiteboard, you only have 60 seconds with a
That's tough.
running clock. I want to explain way more than I have time to.
Yeah, I feel like if I ever did that, I would get muted very quick.
Yeah. Well, I won my round. I'm on to semifinals, which is this Wednesday.
Hell
I gotta go
yeah.
back and do it again.
I gotta
Um,
go watch it.
oh man. Yeah. And I know with Peter to get points, like you have to swing with haymakers.
Yeah.
And so it's really prepping that and getting ready for that. But it's let me say, it's just awesome seeing you in the media space. Is that something you want to do
Thank
can
you.
even beyond your career?
Yeah, I mean, I've been for a while trying to figure out, what I wanna do after competitive CrossFit. And, I think every competitor should be thinking about life beyond the competition floor because you're only going to be a competitor for so long. I would love to be able to do it my whole life, but that's just not realistic. And so trying to figure out how I can add value to the space and how I can stay in the CrossFit world because this is what I love and this is what I want to do with my life. And figuring out ways to do that beyond competing. I think getting involved on the media side of things has been a lot of fun for me. It allows me to stay in this CrossFit world, hopefully beyond my competitive years. Things like podcasting. I would love to at some point get into broadcast announcing. I think that would be a lot of fun. And maybe Lauren Khalil will take me under her wing, and I can be the next Lauren Khalil.
Well, you always have a friend here if you ever have any
Thank you,
questions.
Scott.
And, we put together teams for different events and, if you're available,
Oh hell yeah, I'd love that
be awesome.
anytime.
So, back to CrossFit. You get through the season with the new version of Ellia and you get to quarterfinals and you learn that they cut down how many go to semis from 60 to 40. How scary is that when you flip the script on yourself and now the room for error has decreased by a third?
Yeah, it was pretty scary. Especially knowing not only are they cutting the field down to 40, but they're also increasing the number that they bring into quarterfinals. So now the room for error is really, really small. It was already getting smaller, and now it's even smaller. So that was scary. And when they announced the workouts and I saw the burpee box jump wall ball workout, I was a little nervous that my season wouldn't go past quarterfinals this year. Um, because I know that I've made a lot of improvements, but like I said, there's still a ways to go. And so I think um, seeing that made me very nervous. And I wasn't sure how this season was going to go. But well, and I will say, after quarterfinals ended, I was still very nervous because I ended up before the video review process, I ended up at 48th in the West. So I was outside of the cut line when quarterfinals was over, and I was pretty convinced that my season was over at that point. But then luckily I blocked out my box step ups and got through the video review process relatively unscathed. And I was able to sneak in there, and all you got to do is get there. So it's a clean slate when I go down to Carson, and I'm ready to go.
So how confident were you that you were going to get through the video process when when you just see them flying penalty after penalty after penalty? I've talked to some people who they were already validated when that happened.
Yeah,
And
so
others,
I hadn't had any scores validated when all those penalties started coming out, and I pride myself on doing good reps. I did get one penalty this year on the wall ball workout, but it was because somebody touched my equipment, not because I did not meet a movement standard. And I try very hard to make sure that I'm always meeting movement standards because I think that that is the most important part of the sport is doing it with integrity. Um, even still, seeing all the penalties come out, I got so stressed. I was so nervous. It was a situation where I'm like, I know I do good reps, and like I watch back my video and it looks good, but you never know. And so I got very nervous, and when I got the email that my workout 1 score was accepted, I don't think I'd ever been more relieved to get an email in my life.
You say you watch back your videos before you submit. Do
Yeah.
you have anybody else look at them or just you?
If there's anything questionable, I will have somebody else look at it, or maybe even a couple people look at it just to see. And if they also agree that it's questionable, then, redo the workout. But I think it's I'm very critical of myself. I always have been. And so I think sometimes when I see something that's like, is that questionable? I don't know. If I have, two, three, four other people saying, no, that looks fine, then that's kind of like my backstop of like, hey, this might just be me being overly critical of myself. If other eyes are seeing this and think it's fine, then it's probably fine. But again, if somebody else looks at it and they're like, I don't know, might be iffy, then I'm gonna, redo that workout or do whatever I need to do to fix that.
Big friend of the show, Jay Birch, says afternoon, Scott and Aaliyah.
What's that?
It's funny because my co-host on the Sunday night show is in the age group semis this weekend, and she sends me her videos to review. That is a I was a judge, and it is a tough job.
Yes.
Like, to be able to be honest with your friend and say, look at this, and this. And I don't ever say like, this is wrong, you need to redo. I say,
Yeah.
take a look at this, and this, and you need to decide if you are good with it or not.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's so hard.
It's so hard. It's even like, I have somebody judging me here in person when I do the workouts, and I have judged people doing the workouts, and I do not envy the job of a judge because it is so challenging, and there's such a fine line between, a good rep and a bad rep a lot of times, and having to make that judgment call in an instant on the spot, like that's I don't envy it at all. And thank you to all of the judges out there. I'm impressed by you guys every day.
So you get through quarters, you make it in above the cut line, essentially,
Yes.
and you're going to semis. Then word comes out on Friday, and I'm going to share my screen. The new allocation for the semis this year. And ba-bam. So now we have the new allocations, and the West actually loses 3 spots.
I think it was 10 last
Was
year.
it
So I think
10?
we lost 2 spots.
Okay, I couldn't remember if it was 10 or 11. But so you're down to 8.
Yeah.
What does that do to your psyche going into an event like this?
I mean, it's hard not to think about it, but I'm trying not to really put too much weight into it because all that's like I can't change how many they're taking. All I can do is control the effort that I bring to the competition. And so I know that as long as I go out and I execute my workouts to the best of my abilities, I'll be happy. No matter how that falls, whether I'm top 8 or not, as long as I know that I put all of my effort into it, whatever happens, happens.
With this rebuild going on, and you knowing that you have more to go, does that make it easier to, like, if it doesn't happen this year, it's okay because we are a work in progress, or will it hurt just as bad?
I mean, it's gonna hurt if that happens. It never doesn't hurt. It hurt last year, even it hurt 2 years ago when I knew that I had no shot. It still hurts. But it is so much more comforting to go into a situation like that saying, "Hey, I didn't make it this year, but that's okay because I still have so much to improve on for next year," versus I went in at my absolute peak, I'll never be better than this, and I still wasn't good enough. I feel like that hurts a hell of a lot more.
So where did you get the competitive drive? Because if our audience doesn't remember, you were a neuroscientist.
Yes.
Was it from
Um,
the academic world, or did you compete in something else?
so I competed in dance and gymnastics when I was younger. But I think a lot of it just came from my dad. My dad has always been somebody who has expected the best from his kids, and not in a bad way, not in a, expectations are too high or anything like that. He just knew what we were capable of, and he always wanted us to perform to the maximum of our capabilities. And so even when I was younger, competing in dance and gymnastics and even academics, he always wanted us to do the best we could in school. I competed in academic decathlon when I was in middle school. So just, I think a lot of it came from a desire to be competitive with myself, to like always be pushing myself to be the best version of me. And then, that kind of parlays into competitive sport and things like that.
Is there always a part of you trying to impress him?
Yeah. I always want to impress my dad. He's
Yeah.
going to be at semifinals again this year, and I'm really excited.
You say he pushed at you, and not in a bad way. What did that do for your relationship with your dad?
It was tough when I was younger, because, every kid wants to just, you know, not be 100% locked in all the time and just have fun as a kid. And um, there was some, I don't know if animosity is the right word for it, but just, me kind of wanting to be a kid and him still wanting me to be and perform at my best. But as I've gotten older, our relationship has only improved. And he's one of my best friends at this point. I love my dad so much. Um, but it's just looking back and realizing and understanding that all of those things that he did was because he loved me and he wanted the best for me. And it's hard to see that as a kid, but looking back on it, it's a lot easier to understand.
Yeah. I lost my dad a couple years ago,
I'm
and
sorry.
it's been really tough because it is when I was a kid, like, I looked at things like, "Why are you making me do this?" And then as an adult, you understand it now, and then
Yeah,
your relationship becomes so much closer. And I got
yeah,
a lot of good, I mean, I'm 54, and we had a lot of good years together. Um, and so I appreciate every moment that I had. But even to this day, I'm still trying to impress him and my mom both, like,
yeah.
with everything I do. So, um,
I don't think it'll ever go away.
right, right. Um, and that's a good thing. Like, it shows that they cared so much parenting that you, even as an adult child, want to do what they think is best.
Yeah.
So what does your dad feel about tiny house on a ranch?
He is into it because he thinks that this is what's gonna get me to the games, and I think it is too. So he supports it 110%. He's really excited. He keeps telling me this is my year. So yeah, when I first kind of shifted my focus from science and the army and all that stuff onto CrossFit, he I think was a little apprehensive, just because that's not traditional. That's not what most parents expect to hear from their kids. And I think, again, he just always wants the best for me. But since he has seen my growth and my success in the sport so far, and he's seen how much I love it, he has been probably my biggest supporter out of anyone ever.
I've heard a lot of things about Sean's ranch, and I don't know, is it ranch in name alone, or is it a working ranch with cattle or some kind of herd?
It's not a ranch. He just has he has a decent amount of property. I don't know property sizes, so I can't even try to estimate how big it is. But it's just we're out in the middle of nowhere, Nevada, where people have a lot of land, and they don't have any animals on the land right now. I think they might be getting some chickens soon, which is cool.
Fresh
But
eggs?
besides that, just some dogs.
Yeah, gotta love fresh eggs.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Um, Last question about Sean, and that is, does he train in the cowboy hat?
Not normally. Every once in a while we get him to put it on, but I think at some point CrossFit told him he wasn't allowed to wear it on the competition floor anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but
It's
you can see it hanging up there.
so dumb. Gotta let people be themselves and be individuals.
Yeah, right?
I know they told Nick Matthew he could no longer crop top his shirts.
I heard about that. That was disappointing.
So it looks like they're putting their foot down on everything.
Yeah. I guess uniforms are, I mean, it makes sense if you look at other sports. You don't see a football player out there cropping their football jersey. I think they would get in trouble for that.
Yeah, they used to back in the day, show the
Really?
midriff and yeah, their abs and all that stuff. And it still happens in college to some degree,
Yeah.
where it's a little more loose. But um, so what is your realistic goal for this year? This is
I
our
wanna make the
this is our
games.
wrap up here. You want to make the
Yeah, I
game.
wanna make the games. That's always my goal. Yeah.
Never lower the bar. Always strive to be the best.
Yeah. And big goals are scary, but big goals should be scary. And if you're not a little bit scared, why are you doing it?
My last question. You always rock the coolest t-shirts on the comp floor. Do you have that planned out for this year or still working on it?
Still working on it a little bit. I do have today's the last day of my t-shirt fundraiser. So if anybody is interested in supporting my semifinals journey, you can check it out on my Instagram. My brother designed a shirt for me again this year. He's designed my shirt for the past 3 years. And then John McCrary, one of the photographers in the CrossFit space, he designed a shirt for me this year as well. So I'm selling those, and I'll probably wear those on the competition floor. And then I'm also I'm working with Assault Fitness this year, so they're putting together some outfits for me as well.
So I
So that's
pulled up.
the shirt my brother designed.
Okay, there it is.
Yep,
And
"Take no
then just
prisoners" is a quote that our dad tells us all the time. He used to tell it to us anytime we went to do anything, whether it was a test in school, a dance competition, whatever. He would just tell us, "Hey, take no prisoners." So
love the graphics. Did he hand draw that or is he a graphic artist?
I think he did it on a tablet, but I think by hand. So digital by hand, if that makes sense.
Very cool. And then do you have a picture of the other shirt?
Yeah, if you, I think you can click through those pictures or just right there to the right.
Oh, this one?
Yep. Next one.
Next one.
And then that's the shirt that John McCrary designed for me.
Wow, one fun, one classic.
Yeah.
Depending on your mood.
Exactly. I got
Awesome.
options.
So which one of these two shirts do you wear for something you think is a home run?
Oh, I mean, I'm gonna go with my brother's shirt because he's my brother. He's been next to my mom and my dad. My brother and my sister are my other two biggest supporters. So, yeah.
Awesome.
But I do absolutely love the shirt that John designed. and I think it's amazing. And a lot of other people have been loving it too. So I'm really excited about it.
Love the colors.
Yeah.
Very cool colors. Kind of like your hair and kind of.
Yeah, it actually works. It's like the color of my hair, and then CrossFit Power Stroke is Power Stroke blue. So it's Power Stroke blue and my hair. It's perfect.
Awesome. Well, Leah, as always, you are the best. I
Oh,
can't wait
thank
to
you,
see what you do
Scott.
at semis this year. You're going to be in Carson, California, and the original home of the CrossFit Games.
Yep, it was actually Sean's first CrossFit Games, was the 2016 Games in Carson.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Is he going to be with you?
he is. So he'll be his first time back to Carson since the 2016 Games is to come coach me at the tennis stadium. So it's pretty cool, coming full circle.
Yeah, definitely got to get some pictures. Someone take some pictures of you out on that tennis stadium floor.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, with that, thank you to everybody in the chat. Aaliyah, as always, you are the best. I can't wait
Thank
to
you,
see
Scott.
what you do, and we will stay in touch for sure.
Yes,
And
absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
I don't think I'm making it to Carson, but we're doing wrap-up shows, so I may reach out to you to get a comment or two.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, we'll talk soon to everybody and see you next time on the Clydesdale Media Podcast. Bye, guys.